Got a quick and easy, fun Halloween project this year, and it's gonna be a good time. Let's make something fun. So one of my favorite Halloween specials of all time has got to be It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
I got it wrong.
And this is another one of those projects where I've been meaning to do this for years now and just haven't gotten around to it. So this year I'm getting it done. But we're gonna make a real big sign for out in front of the house of Linus holding up his Welcome Great Pumpkin sign. Now, I've seen these in front of people's houses before every once in a great while, but every time I see one, it drives me nuts because they make this awesome sign, but then they try to hand draw it, and hand drawing to scale never quite works out, and Linus always ends up looking very awkward, nothing's to scale, and it just drives me crazy. Now, of course, there are several different ways that you can draw something to scale and scale it up. Now, in this case, I could have had this printed off very quickly at Office Max for like $3.98, and it would have been 3 foot tall. But I really, really wanted it to be 4 foot tall. It would have cost me $30 to print this out at 4 feet tall, and I wasn't having it. So I ended up just printing this on the printer. I got myself an image. To save myself on ink, I created an outline version on Inkscape. Inkscape, by the way, is a great free alternative to Adobe Illustrator. And since I saved this to a PDF, I was able to open this up in Adobe as a PDF, and then you can actually scale it up however size you want, and it will print it off in several different sheets for you. Then all you gotta do is piece it together like a puzzle and tape it all together. And then I pretty much got my 4 feet. It turned out to be like 47 inches. Close enough for me. Now all I have left to do is to cut the excess off, and let's take this over to a piece of plywood and transfer the image over, and I'll show you how to do that. It's actually very easy. By the way, we're gonna use 1/2-inch CDX. It's not beautiful, but for what we're doing, it's good enough. We're gonna use something called carbon paper, and I'm sure you know what this is. We're gonna put it underneath, then we're going to take a pen, pencil, and we're going to trace all these lines. But just make sure that you got your black side down. And these things are great too. They're not expensive, and you can use these actually over and over and over again. And it's a great, cheap, easy way to transfer images onto wood or other materials. But I'm just gonna take the same sheet, trace along. Once I run out of carbon paper, I'll just move this sheet, trace, and just keep doing that until I'm done. I'm sure there's many ways to transfer this image onto this wood, but this is the way I do it. Alright, now, just gotta cut it out. Alright, it's all cut out. I've sanded it down, sanded the sides, sanded all the corners, and we're ready to paint the face. I've already painted the back in black and all the sides to seal everything up really well. As far as the type of paint, alright, so here's the thing. I had planned on getting those paint samples from Home Depot because they come in interior, exterior paint, and you can get them in any color you want. But when I used to work at Home Depot, they were like $5 a piece. Now they're $7 a piece, so that puts this project well over $30 just in paint alone. And I'm not looking to spend that kind. I want to stay a little bit more on the cheap side with this one. So I went to Michael's, I got all the colors in these craft paints. They're acrylic, but they're not exterior. So we're gonna have to seal this project up with an exterior clear coat. So I got this stuff. I got it in satin, but you can get it in matte and gloss if you really want to. This put me at about $15 for paint altogether. So we're still way cheaper than we would have been. As far as the lines are concerned in the details, these carbon lines should bleed through the paint, so I still should be able to see all the detail after I've painted the main colors on here. So then I can go over everything with the outlines. Well, I've got the base colors down, and now I have to move on to the tedious task of doing all the black outlines and the details. But unfortunately, I am going to have to retransfer a lot of the lines because they didn't bleed through 2 of the colors that I was hoping that they would. They bled through really nice on the orange and the red. The lines came through perfectly, but on the skin color and on the white, not so much. So I gotta retrace those lines, then I can move on to the outlining. Now for the tedious task of doing all the outlining. Time to put on some ear pods and just zone out for a bit. Oh, and by the way, have you met my patrons? Well, all the outlining is done. He's looking great. He's ready for the Great Pumpkin. But before I put a stake on the back of this, I need to spray it down with a clear coat. Since this paint is not exterior paint, I'm gonna put an exterior clear coat on it. The last thing I did was I attached the stake. I went almost all the way up to the top to give it a little bit more support, and I left about 16 inches at the bottom to be able to drive into the ground. I don't know how necessary this is, but I had some extra conduit left over, about 1/2-inch conduit, and I ran it up the post that Linus is holding on to just for a little bit more stability. Again, don't know how necessary that is, but I did it just in case. Well, Linus is all ready to go to welcome the Great Pumpkin, and we may not have a sincere pumpkin patch, but we definitely have a sincere welcome sign. And if the Great Pumpkin when the Great Pumpkin shows up, we'll be ready. Oh, and make sure to check out my Halloween playlist for my other Halloween builds. But that's it. It was a quick, inexpensive, and if you can color inside the lines, a very easy project. So happy Halloween, have a safe Halloween. I'll see you in the next one.